Welcome to the Art Lady channel. Today we're going to be making a snowy day collage after the book Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats. To start off the collage, we need a background paper, and you can choose any color background paper you like. This is a light blue one, but gray, or if you want it a little brighter, maybe it's a sunny day after it snowed, so maybe a light yellow. So choose your background paper. We're going to be using 9 by 12 paper today, but you can do it on any size paper you'd like. And then we're going to decide what part of the story is our favorite. And we're going to put things in from the story. So you want to use your thinking caps and think about what was the things that you saw in the story. Here, I really enjoyed the buildings in the background. So I'm going to start off by taking some squares of scrap paper and just cutting rectangles for the giant city buildings and some squares out of different color scrap paper. So rectangles, here's a square, and you can use any color you'd like for the buildings. And in the story, Peter, who's the main character here, Peter goes out after it snowed and he sees giant snowbanks in the city where he lives. I'm going to show you how I made the snow. And in different parts of the story, if we think back, we see some huge snow piled up and where Peter actually slid down the hills. And then we saw some areas that weren't as big as this. So you can decide how you want to do your snow. To tear the background, I take my 9 by 12 piece of paper. I'm going to turn it so the short end is closer to my tummy, and then I'm going to tear down the middle. If I want a bump or a big hill, then I'm going to tear it toward the top of the page. That'll give me a little bit of a hill here. See how it's going to go up my page? And then I tear it down. So I have a slight hill, like so. See how we have a hill here? So if you like what you have, we can glue it like this. If you want another big hill coming up on the side, you can tear some of this part and maybe arrange it coming down like this. So you have a hill here. And if you want another hill on this side, you could put your other piece of paper on this end so it comes up. So you want to arrange your background paper the way you like. One of my favorite parts of the story is at the very end, where Peter and his friend are walking through the snow hills. And they're out to play. The second day, Peter goes out. And so if you want to make that, here's the giant snow hill right here. So I have one hill on one side, and then on the other side of my paper, see what I've done? I put this part coming up. So this is where they walk to right here in the story. See how they're walking through the giant snow hills and they're about to go into the city. So that's my favorite part of the story. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, gluing that down. But it's up to you what part of the story you want to do. So decide that and then glue your hills on. And let me go ahead and show you how I'm going to glue. I just simply flip my shapes over, and I'm not gluing really close to the edge. I'm just going to glue a little bit here and then a little bit here. You don't have to cover the whole thing with glue. Now, you can do several parts of the story, putting several parts of the story on, or you can just work on one part. Put a little bit of glue here and go ahead and glue it down. That's what's great about torn paper. You can just tear it to fit. Now, we want to think about the parts of the story, and we can cut these shapes out, Peter, out of cut paper, construction paper. And if you look at Peter, he's got just a simple circle for the head, triangles, rectangles for his arms. This is almost a giant rectangle for his body. Some triangles for feet and rectangles for legs. So you could cut yours own out, or I do have the characters from the story, several of them. I have Peter looking down at his footprints, Peter making a snow angel here. I do have this paper on Teacher Pay Teacher if you're interested, or on my Patreon account. And here's Peter sliding down the hill. Zoom. You can make your own Peter and his friend, or just Peter, using cut papers. Or you can color the shapes that I have on my worksheet and glue them onto your picture. Next, we're going to add our background. If you want to add the city to it, you can just tuck it underneath here. That's why I don't glue it really close to my edges. But the buildings are represented with some bright colors. So I'm just going to tuck these in here. My rectangles and squares. And then I'm going to put some snow on top, because in the snowy day, Peter does go out the second day, and it snowed the night before. So I'm just going to tear some snow right here, torn paper across the top of the buildings. I'm going to put some more torn paper up here for the snow on the buildings. Now you're going to think back on the story and decide what's your favorite part, or what's your favorite thing that you like to do in the snow. And you can cut out your figures, which mean the people, out of construction paper. Or I do have a link. If you click on the title, this will take you to the link for the worksheet that has all my little characters in it. If you want to cut out your own, you can just use simple shapes like circles for the face, triangles for hats, rectangles for bodies, long skinny rectangles for arms. See how I did Peter's friend? This could be a rectangle for the body, long skinny rectangles, or kind of triangle shapes for the legs. These are just simplified shapes. And when artists simplify the shapes like this, it's called abstract. So these are abstract shapes for the people. So they're very simple to cut out. Don't worry if your shapes don't look exactly like Peter in the story. So if this was going to be a leg, I would just simply cut 2 legs, like so. I would do a rectangle for the body, like so. I would do 2 long, skinny rectangles for arms. You can have them posing any way you want. The boys having the snowball fight. And then just do a simple, it's almost like a triangle for the head, because he has a hat, snow hat on. So I'll do the snow hat. And then I'll do a circle for my head. So if you don't have these shapes, you can always make your own. And I really love the snowballs in their hands. Peter got to touch the snow, and then he put the snowball in his pocket. Remember that in the story? The snowball went in his pocket and he saved it for later. But the snowball melted. So you might want to have Peter putting it in his pocket. And then I'm going to go ahead and just glue on. The next day, Peter even went outside in the story. And first he knocked on his neighbor's door. And he got a friend to go play in the snow with. He had so much fun the first day, he brought his friend right there. And I'm going to glue on my snow angel over here. And for the snow angel, I didn't cut it out really close, because I'm gluing it on the white and it won't show. So I'm going to glue down my snow angel right here. And then I'm going to put Peter right on the snow angel, because that's something really fun to do too. If you ever get to visit snow, or if you live in snow, I'm sure you've done snow angels. When I was a kid, that's what we used to do too. And they were beautiful. So that's a great part of my memory as a child, in the snow. And then I'm going to glue on Peter over here, looking at his footprints. Because when you walk in the snow, When you look back, you make tracks in the snow from your feet. And so Peter's discovering his feet makes tracks. And you can make a whole path of tracks in the snow. Now I'm going to add some more footprints to my snow. You can add them with wide markers, or you can just dip your finger. I'm dipping it into a stamp pad here. And you can do some footprints with your fingerprints. So I put my fingers together close, like so. Dip them into the stamp pad. And I'm making the footprints along the edge of my page, like so. It gives a fun little, I'm going to put them over here too, and one there. It gives a little fun accent to the bottom of your page for your collage. And now I'm going to go ahead and glue on my snowflakes. And you can color the snowflakes. I have this in that worksheet. If you click on the title, there's snow that's part of this worksheet, my little snowflakes. Or you can make your own with just little white pieces of paper or light blue pieces of paper coming down. I'm going to put the snowflake in his hand as the snowball. And I'll put a snowflake here coming down. Because sometimes even the next day after it snows all night long, there's still little flurries, they're called, just light snow during the day, where you see a few snowflakes come down. And there's my little snowy winter picture. Now at the bottom of the page, if you want to glue on a lined piece of paper, you can glue on a lined piece of paper here and write about your favorite adventure in the snow. Or if you live in a southern place, a southern area that does not get snow, you could write down what you would do if you went on a snowy adventure to a snowy place. And what was the first thing that you would do when you go into the snow? I know when I took my nephew and my son, the first thing they did at the airport is they reached into a snow pile and they made a snowball. And of course, they had a snowball fight. So that was the first thing they did. So what would you do the first thing when you see snow for the very first time? What would you do in the snow? And we also went sledding like Peter did. He went down a hill. So what would you do? So you can write a little story about what you would do on your snowy day.